coagulate and accumulate and start to attack your organs in your body. And so it's in sporadic waves. And so we see every 3 months the virus keeps mutating because it's on this rhythmic cycle where it's reaching out to its the SARS virus is reaching out to it's collecting data and it's communicating with itself. The cousins that the SARS virus, its cousins and aunts and uncles that branch off to try to create new spawns of itself. The spawns start talking to each other. The spawning bacterial infection of the SARS virus, as it keeps trying to adapt and penetrate into our brains, into our hearts and our lungs, and take us as a host and kill us, and to fletch it again and keep spreading us. It just eats and moves and eats and moves. But it's efficient at fighting through cell walls that it shouldn't be able to get through because of its mechanism of growing in bats. So bats shed their cells and skin so rapidly every single day that the virus found a host where it's just constant eating, because bats are essentially shedding their skin and fur so quick that the virus constantly just eats and moves, and it found its home. The virus just eats and moves, but the bats just keep, getting new cells and hair rapidly. So SARS virus could just keep eating. And then it found humans. And it's just eating up humans and everything else. Welcome to the SARS virus. And so it's like, shit. What was it? SARS coronavirus 2 is coronavirus. SARS coronavirus 2 is the virus. CDC is saying 1.4 million deaths in China. That's a lie. The number came out, what was it, some crazy shocking number. It was like 2023 Chinese citizens. No, this isn't it. Oh, this is a lie too, because the U.S. we lost 4.8 million people in the first year. So, fucking hey. No. It's. Oh, they're hiding it again. Just show me the number. AI. Where's my AI? Google AI. Oh, they're not showing it. They keep trying to hide it. Google is helping the CCP. Come on, AI. Google. Oh, look at that. The CCP and Google. Man, U.S. government probably needs to. You're only going to show me 4 links? Really, Google? You're only going to show me 4 links?
We're carrying water.
For the American Red Cross, for volunteer firefighters.
For people who need it.
Even first thing in the morning.
Oh, there is no
crematorium
Chinese COVID success. Their children's hospitals are overwhelmed.
were burning. This one in East Beijing is reportedly just for COVID-related deaths, and it was busy. Ambulances arriving, cars carrying coffins.
Oh, and then what the CCP kept doing, what the Chinese government kept doing, they weren't counting the deaths as COVID, because they wanted zero COVID. They would count it as heart attack, brain damage, cardio problem, or some other ailment to try to cover up the death toll of the SARS virus.
At another site across the city, families gathered to mourn and remember. White is traditionally worn at Chinese funerals. A massive COVID wave is sweeping this city, but officially, almost no one has died. But while numbers...
Sky News information from the CCP, officially no one has died, but you're going to have...
...can be obscured, grieving relatives cannot. This party didn't want to be identified, but they did want to talk. They know COVID is killing people. It's the reason they're here.
我不太相信政府的这个报道。I don't believe. 73，也是他没有什么。
73-year-old probably was completely healthy. SARS virus. Could be said.
就刚开始他可能没有认为这么严重，所以他没有去医院。
She kind of.
等到后来他就失去意识了，然后再送到医院，当天就去世了。就是我们也没想到会这么容易就死人的。
Round the corner.
All these cars lining up. But Sky News got official word from the Chinese government saying, hey, no one's died yet.
More evidence of pressure on this system. A long queue of vans acting as hearses. Tension in the air too. Some workers said they've been waiting here for more than 3 hours.
Drivers we've spoken to in this queue say that things are much busier than normal. It's impossible to say how many people are dying, but it seems it's more than normal. Hello. I'm sorry.
It didn't take long for authorities to intervene. As we walked away, one man tried to grab our camera.
See, Chinese government officials trying to stop.
Such is the sensitivity of what's happening here.
No, such of the censorship and oversight and oppression of freedom.
And it was similar at nearly...
Like, we need to film what's going on. This dude's probably some loyalist to another CCP loyalist. We're trying to get the truth
Every
out.
site we visited, a heavy police presence or a heavy effort.
If you have nothing to hide, what are you trying to hide? Bro, where you put your hand over the camera? There's like cars for days. People dying.
To obstruct. But there's clearly real pressure on this system. China's hospitals are under-resourced and there are not enough intensive care beds. At this fever hospital, we saw what appeared to be a body.
This is last year. That's getting bad. Mysterious outbreak of respiratory illness in China raises concern. Bro, it's the SARS virus. Why are we playing dumb? This is the new cases of COVID variant BA.2.86 tripled in 2 weeks. A 14-day span, the virus tripled. Variant case tripled in 2 weeks. 1 day ago, because Fox is super slow. CBS is like, what? Is it today or yesterday? They're like, what? Like, yeah. COVID levels in Virginia wastewater are very high. 1 day ago, because they're starting to realize, oh shit. What's happening? Yeah, the past 14 days, the SARS virus from 3 months ago, the pandemic that we're still in, it's winning. The SARS virus is still winning. So if anyone's listening, you care about people that you love, what is that? Mask the fuck up. Mask the fuck up. Like, holy shit. You care about your family members, your loved ones, your grandparents, your grandmothers. Mask the fuck up. Because not when if vaccine rates are slumping at the moment a virus is surging or lagging behind. It's not good. We're lagging behind.
At hospital emergency rooms, the sick children just keep coming. from toddlers to teens.
SARS virus. The SARS virus will destroy and weaken your immune system, and children's immune systems are compromised and not fully developed or stabilized. So the SARS virus affects them, destroys an already fledgling immune system, and they become more acceptable to common shit that their body should naturally be able to fight. But they can't. So if you're over the age of 65, 75, 85, those risk factors increase exponentially as you get older because your immune system wanes. And then for children, it's essentially like 8, 10, and 12. 8 years old, incredibly invulnerable. 10 years old, on average, a child's immune system will stabilize development. At 12, it should be fully developed, their immune system, in order to combat any of these kind of viruses, bacteria, or fungi.
Including pneumonia. It's been 10 days now, this
It's because the body retracts back its heat and energy around the core to save itself. So the pneumonia of the hands and the feet is the body pulling away resources to protect the internal organs, weakening the ability for your body to combat extremities like that. And so if your extremities start to fall into pneumonia, it's the lack of the cold starts to take over. Pneumonia is the cold starts to take over, starts to damage the nerve cells of the body. If you cannot protect the nerve cells, they dysfunction, and then you can't flow blood to the area. So pneumonia, combination of the degradation of the nerves. The degradation of the nerves stop the ability for the pellets in the blood to supply nutrients to your ligaments, and they start to go cold, and they start to either go gangrene and fall off, which is like a really bad, sufferable pain.
And the fever is back.
So, yeah.
Health officials say the surge is happening.
Oh, the fever is also the body going into a hypertension state, forcing the cardio system of your body, your cardiovascular system, to start pumping out more blood. And as it starts pumping out more blood, your body warms up. It's trying to heat up to try to push back bad bacteria or viruses. But it can't quite do it because the systems are becoming overwhelmed, because the SARS virus can navigate and penetrate through cell walls it shouldn't be able to.
Not just here in Beijing, but in clusters across northern China.
This is one of the biggest children's hospitals in this city, and it's full of kids who are coughing, hooked up to IV bags, or still waiting to get treatment.
Everybody, what is that? Everybody's masked the fuck up. Everybody is masked the fuck up. They're all wearing their masks. So Americans, anybody's fucking watching, they're still in a goddamn pandemic.
Waiting to get treatment.
The headlines here about a respiratory disease outbreak triggered alarm bells and prompted the World Health Organization to ask Chinese authorities for answers. The WHO said
every other government is looking at the Chinese government like, hey, bro, like, y'all fucked up the first time in 2019. And all the other governments are looking at the Chinese government right now like, hey, what the fuck is happening? And the Chinese government's like, mulling around. Like, what?
Shared its data.
They're just waddling around like, oh, god damn. No sign of a new disease so far. Bro. Mycoplasma pneumonia. Oh, mycoplasma pneumonia. That sounds like a fungi virus. Is it myco of the fungi family? Mycorrhizae are fungal associated with plant roots. Shit. It's a fungus. Those motherfuckers. Mycoplasma pneumonia. It's not the SARS virus. When they say no sign of a new disease so far, this is a fungal infection. You fuck piece of shit. But the SARS virus, you're infected, weakens your immune system. Your immune system can eat your microbiome of your own bacteria, your immune system, plus your homeostasis of your body can usually combat fungus. But looks really eerily close to being the zombie virus, because if children's extremities or the elderly are losing the ability to combat this, then this whatever fungi is getting a hold and getting a foothold into the human ecosystem. And if a fungi survives long enough, committing this kind of damage, this Mycoplasma pneumonia, it could continue to grow and get stronger. Or hopefully it doesn't, like, hopefully the SARS virus and this Mycoplasma pneumonia don't interact with each other.
New disease so far, saying in a statement, the reported symptoms are common to several respiratory diseases.
Oh, well then either these a-holes are lying and it's not a fungi infection of the lungs, but it's just a SARS virus and they're trying to say something else.
Unlike a then unknown virus that emerged in Wuhan 4 years ago.
What do you mean unknown virus? We know it's the SARS virus. Like, oh my goodness.
Unleashed the COVID pandemic.
SARS coronavirus 2. Thank you all for like kind of half-assed doing your job too.
China was criticized for a lack of transparency. What's going around now, according to health officials, is a known mix of flu, RSV, COVID, and mycoplasma or walking pneumonia.
So is the mycoplasma children being infected with the fungi because their body's been reduced by the SARS virus? The body's been reduced with the SARS virus, you get infected by RSV and flu.
The advice from scientists, don't panic. Last year, there were still strict COVID rules here. Kids masking up and schools locking down. The wave flooding emergency rooms now.
And on top of that, a lot of these children are too young to like receive a vaccine because it's like, you know, China just doesn't have the supply.
Seen as more of a comeback than a mystery. With doctors here.
No. Bro, January 2023, State Department for the U.S. is like, we could produce hundreds of millions of vaccines. And they said publicly that they appreciate the offer, but they're not in the need of it right now. So the CCP, the PRC, People's Republic of China, the PRC said, no, anyway, we'll continue to discuss this with them, of course. So yeah. Pride and Prejudice. The Pride and Prejudice of the PRC will ultimately, their ineptitude, the average Chinese person will suffer for their PRC stupidity and ego and pride and prejudice. Prejudice is, hey, because Americans designed the vaccines first, they don't want to accept them. The PRC would let their people die before they accept an American-made vaccine. Like, bro, make that make sense, man. That's a lose-lose situation. It's a win-win. Here's the winning formula for the PRC. Take the hundreds of millions of free vaccines that we'd probably give. Or why can't the PRC like at least do the respect to buy the vaccines off of the U.S. market to save your people? So you can keep your economy running. So people don't starve and die to death because they're losing their jobs or their boss doesn't die or buildings are shutting down or people getting sick and they can't go to work. Like, what? If people are sick and people get sick and they can't take care of somebody who's sick because then they get sick in China. So like, what? It's a lose-lose because they're losing their people are dying. They're losing their economy is crippling and falling apart. So what is the PRC doing? You feel me? They've already lost tons of their own people. Of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP within the PRC, has already lost tons of their people due to the SARS virus. It just doesn't make that is just obscene. Yeah, it's just obscene. So there you go. Y'all have been updated on what's going on right now.
They're working overtime. Health officials are urging anyone with mild symptoms to avoid the hospital because of the risk of cross-infection. But for the rest of the world at this point...
She said cross-infection? You know what?
Hospital because of the risk of cross-infection. But for the rest of the world...
Say that part again?
Health officials are urging anyone with mild symptoms to avoid the hospital.
I mean, they're kind of reporting. She's just doing her job, but how you word it matters. NBC, you're messing up, NBC. You're spreading the same PRC talking point to tell people who are mildly sick don't go to the hospital. But that dude earlier who said his mother was 73 and she just died because she wasn't really thinking about the symptoms, that's why. You know, the elderly or just the naivety of the average Chinese person is going to be like, oh, my symptoms are mild. Well, the Chinese government says stay away from the hospitals if my symptoms are mild. No, like, take the precautions. Because those mild symptoms will then develop into severe symptoms 14 to 20 days later. And then they're not at the hospital and they're dying in their homes. That, I got to just downvote it because you're spewing the horrible talking points that will cause the average Chinese person to suffer. You're spewing the wrong information, but you're spewing the talking points of shit advice from a failed government state that caused the whole pandemic in the first place. Because the Chinese government didn't. They went knee-jerk reaction, heavy-handed, and everyone fled Wuhan. Wuhan's like the Chicago of China. Chicago, the United States, central point for traveling and trains and flights. Wuhan was the central point of was the Chicago of China, giant center point of trains and traffic and traveling. So the heavy-handed approach, this hammer, just a draconian rule caused everyone to. They try to like lock down, and then everyone fled. Everyone fled out of the Wuhan, of the city, as the virus keeps spreading. Instead of working together to like tell people to like essentially seek treatment, get medicine, clean down surfaces. It was like, stay where you're at, can't leave the city. Oh, stay where you're at, can't leave the city. Wait, stay where I'm at, can't leave the city. Oh, I'm getting out of the city. You see what I'm saying? Instead of like immediately, rushing in and trying to isolate, they sent resources to try to contain. That's so dumb. That's so. Instead of immediately sending in resources, the PRC sending in resources to like isolate, they try to contain. When they try to contain all those people, it was like, how many people live in Wuhan? Like, what's the total population? $11 million people. No, it was 15 million people before. Hold up. Saying 3 million people don't live there anymore? You're saying 3 million people don't live there anymore? Or was it 15 million people and they lost 50% of their population? Was it 15 million people and they lost 6 million? Was it 15 million people and they lost 6 million? The U.S. government already lied. We lost 4.8 million people in the first year of the pandemic. I saved a picture from the CDC. They're trying to be slick. They saved it to a few websites, saved it to a burner phone, and we lost 4.8 million people in the first 12 months in America. It was a number. In a 3-year period, 2010, 2013, then it rose by 600,000? No. 2019, There's 15 million people in Wuhan. 2019. That's the problem. Why is generative AI saying, hey, there's 10 million people? Why? Because Google AI is just a machine growth learning algorithm. Unless Google turned back on their AI, because I'm pretty sure they killed their 2 AI that they created. They're saying 10 million. But then I just saw... $2023? What? 8 million. In 2021. What? In 2021, the city's permanent population reached 13 million? No. They had 15 million people. And now it's only 8 million. 700,000. 8.7 million. They lost 6 million people. Then again, maybe 3 million people passed away and 3 million people didn't want to come back. You know, if you try to lock down an area for like 3 years, 8.7 million bunkered down. 3 million passed away. Another 3 million fled and didn't want to come back. Possibly, but they were at 15 million. So, there you go. But, oh snap, fireworks.
Now. Because, yeah, I want to play some COD. Woo! Damn, fireworks at Paris!
There's less people.
Tokyo Tower, Paris, whatever. Happy New Year, chat!
Wait, what?
Wait, is there a lot of people?
New Year?
Don't move the cam, bro. Okay, bro.
Well, we saw the people. They were here at the bottom. Yeah, it's a little too empty. Then again, I imagine the people are probably people actually are probably further away. The people are probably further away to enjoy the fireworks. Oh, yeah, right there. These are people that are watching the fireworks. You have a small crowd, but there's less people because
this is a theme park, so they have every Saturday they have a fireworks show.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Why is it so empty? I think it's full over there. There's like seating. See the seating inside there? This is a theme park. This is the entrance, and this is a big theme park around here.
Oh, I see.
We're all inside here.
Oh, you know what it could be? It could be fatigued. It could be fatigued too. Like, you know, everyone in the city kind of knows about this. They see it.
I think it's over.
You know, kind of just.
Is that a person? Oh, it's not over.
Cool. But.
With doctors here working overtime, health officials are urging anyone with mild symptoms to avoid the hospital because of the risk of...
Those doctors just said in China they're going to let your children die. That's fucked.
Cross-infection. But for the rest of the world at this point, scientists say there's no evidence of anything new or unique here, that it's the same sort of surge you're seeing in the U.S. and can happen anywhere. Savannah?
All right, Janice Mackey.
No. What the hell did she just say?
There's no evidence of anything new or unique here, that it's the same sort of surge you're seeing in the U.S. and can happen anywhere. Savannah?
All right, Janice Mackey.
How can this white woman sit here and say such a false statement? I don't think U.S. hospitals are overwhelmed. Are U.S. hospitals... How many beds are open for ICU? Okay. So less than 3% of the U.S. population is Going to hospitals. Total staff beds in all U.S. hospitals, 990,000. It's an interesting number. Kind of on average, the U.S. has 5 million people. But but you know what's funny? The 5,000 visits in a 12-month period could be, like, even when I got into my car accident, yeah, I think that's technically the ICU. You know, for a few hours, and then they give me some drugs and send me on my way because I was in a car accident. Oh, no, airway, breathing, circulation, stabilization, life-threatening medical conditions, comprehensive management of injury or illness. Yeah, so, like, comprehensive management of injury. So, like, when I'm in a car accident, I have an injury, and I just go into the emergency department. I think they put me in the ICU for, like, a little bit, and then eventually evaluate me for the car accident, and they give me some, make sure your vitals are good, your spine, your damage, your pain. You know, I remember, yeah, it was like 5 hours or something like that. It was like 5 hours and 40 minutes. Then I was stuck at the VA hospital. It was a car accident. You admit yourself to the VA hospital. It was like 5 hours and 40 minutes. Just being in pain, waiting to be seen. You eventually get seen. They put the IV in you to check their vitals. You're sitting, you're waiting to eventually be seen by a doctor. Doctor tries to look at, he's waiting for specialists to look at the scanning of, like, my body and the blood work and all that. So it just takes a super long time because they're busy with other veterans at that time, like 2018 when I was in my car accident. So even just that one visit will count. And so I imagine all across the United States in a 12-month period on average, yeah, you're going to have patients going in for injuries, and they count as that visitor. But right now in the U.S., we're only 787,000. Sorry about the people that are stuck in the hospitals and staff beds. But chill. Versus... Oh, man. The official at the Beijing... When was this? November 24th? Fuck. An official at Beijing Children's Hospital told State Media Tuesday that the current average of more than 7,000 patients a day. Children. 7,000 children a day are overwhelming their hospitals. Say it again. 7,000 children a day are being sent to children's hospitals because the SARS virus is spreading rapidly out of control. That means on average we're 9 days out. Why can't I do the math? Why can't I should really do the math in my head, but 63,000 children are now, like, sick, suffering. Now, they might have spread it to other children, to their cousins, to their friends, to the playground, to the classrooms, to the mother and father that was working. The children will start accumulating the virus 14 to 20 days. They get severely sick, and they're like, whoa. And they try to get into the hospital. And then for them, as the parent, if they're not masked up and taking safe precautions, then in another 14 to 20 days when the virus starts to accumulate, because it reaches, like, its apex. So your kid's sick, and then, you know, it starts to spread the virus, starts to propagate the virus. He doesn't realize it. The kid doesn't know. It's not their fault. And then if the parents didn't take the proper precautions, they get sick, and then in another 14, 20 days, the parents, as the virus is punching against them, can affect them. And then they won't know that they're infected, and then they're spreading the virus to, like, other family members. And so we're 9 days out. Another 10 days from here, we're going to see, like, bad news. So next weekend, by the 9th and the 10th of next Saturday, Sunday in December, across the United States, Mycoplasma pneumonia. Myco is the fungi family. So it's some sort of fungus, but it's the weakened immune systems that the SARS virus is doing to people to allow this new fungi that's spreading. But I immediately think of, like, The Last of Us, because I'm just like, well, that was The Last of Us, a video game talking about, well, if there's a zombie virus, it would be a fungi. Oh, and also the zombie virus is real. It's a fungi. Oh, my bad to people that don't. I think it's in the Amazons. I think. Yeah, there it is. National Geographic did a graphic on the zombie virus. It's basically a fungi, but just what it does. It'll take over the host, and yeah, it's a nasty. It's this one right here. Oh, go to cordyceps. Yeah, Amazon jungle. It's the thing. Yeah, but if the brain stays intact, then the rest of the body, the fungi takes over the nerve cells. Yeah, insects infected with the zombie virus. Our insects infected with zombie. Our insects? Why are they actively? The zombie fungus that eats spiders, like, but it's a fungi. That's the. Yeah, it's the zombie virus is a fungi, and it takes over organic biomatter, and another fungi that infects and takes over insects, and so this maybe the brain synapse stays intact, but the brachii get infected. The stem, yeah. But it's not the mind. It's like you said, it takes over the nervous system, but the brain is still intact. The brain is probably trying to protect itself. It's like a defense, but the rest of the nervous system that already can control your muscles in your body will keep moving, and then your muscles in your body might kind of shut down, and then that insect will kind of look like a zombie. It'll walk really funky because then the fungi is controlling the exoskeleton or the skeletal body of the ants. The coconut crabs look like giant beetles. What the fuck? But yeah, welcome to. Oh, how long is this ad? 12-second ad, bro, really? Serious, yo?
Fungi and slime. Feed on. Now she's at. It floods her. It forces her to clamp down
the
on
ant.
death bite. And cordyceps reveals its gruesome nature.
Oh, but the zombie virus is a fungi. It takes over the ant's body. Forces the ant to climb to a tall point on a tree, the fungi forces the ant to bite into the tree against its will, and then when it dies, it produces these nasty spores that then jettison and then hit all the other ants, and the cycle continues. But the fungi take control of the body, force them against their will, and then keep propagating more spores.
Oh.
What, bro? Because flies are weak.
It all starts when the fly is innocently walking around, sipping on overripe fruit. It picks up an invisible fungus spore, which bores under its skin. For a few days, everything seems normal.
Flies don't have an immune system, so they're
tiny drop of sticky liquid. A few minutes later, its wings shoot up, and it dies. Now that the fungus has forced the fly into this death pose, wings out of the way.
So we've seen this before too. The fungi understands that it takes the insect, has it go to like a high point. The fungi understands what it's doing. It forces the organic creature or the organism to go to like the high point and to die, to produce more spores. Every time they pop, it fletches out.
Hundreds of spores shoot out at high speed, catching a breeze if the fly climbs high enough.
They're flying out.
They're the next generation of killer fungus.
And they're really small, these spores.
It continues for hours, spores flying out. And if spores land on a wing, which they can't bore into, they shoot out a secondary spore to increase their chances of spreading. So how does a fungus take control of a brain?
It doesn't.
At Harvard, Carolyn Elia is trying to understand that. She thinks the fungus
and fruit flies are also an invasive species.
Chemicals to manipulate the
fruit flies are also an invasive species. Say it again. The fruit flies
flies
also
neurons,
an invasive
maybe
species.
stimulating the ones fit.
What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take...
Discovered I got a flat tire and no one can help. It pays to be prepared. Keep this in your glove box.
A bipartisan vote of over 300 members of Congress ousting him. It includes about half, about 47% of current Republican members of Congress.
Good.
Who came to view Santos as just too costly.
I have been convicted of no crimes, Mr. Speaker.
He has manufactured his entire life. He blatantly stole from his campaign.
Mr. Santos used tragic events in history to try and propel himself to public office. He can defend himself in a court of law, but for the purposes of this body, he's got to go.
Gotta go, and he went. Today's vote also narrows the...
Hey, get the fuck out of here, George Santos, you motherfucker. Holy shit. Good fucking riddance. Piece of shit. Pissed off his whole constituents. Lied about his entire fucking life. Fucking piece of shit. Motherfucker lied about his academics. Doesn't have a fucking bachelor's degree. None of the shit ever happened in his fucking life is real. Every single sappy bullshit story you fucking told was a fucking lie. Get the fuck out of Congress, you piece of shit. Holy shit.
Margin can strengthen the hand of hardline defectors.
That type of corruption fucks with our democracy. Our democracy stands strong, but this piece of shit is a fucking leech. Lying his whole fucking life. Doesn't have a single speck of sand of truth in his fucking body. This piece of shit.
Gates, there were so few votes to be
and
that he could get a...
And the taxpayers are paying for this lying scumbag con man. Turd motherfucker. Like, holy shit. Like, fucking A, man. Taxpayers dollars at this much. Gaines is evil, but he didn't lie about his whole life. This dude lied about his whole fucking life. Stupid, dumb, and evil. Gaines is just evil, but smart. Like, fucking A.
Couple of people and hold leverage over the speaker, or as we all remember, change the speaker. And that is also one of the raw pieces of political math that formed the reason why Republicans were holding back on this move they finally made today. But George Santos' lies and misconduct and now alleged crimes snowballed into something that the Republican Party clearly wanted to publicly...
He, like, the current allegedly crime, but there's already, like, the state of New York, federal government's all looking into it. He, like, took his campaign money and used it illegally. You have to only use your campaign money that you've raised for your campaign and everything associated with your campaign. But he did not.
Break away from before this coming election next November. That's when Santos was, of course, already slated to leave Congress anyway.
Santos confessed he had never worked directly for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. What was going on inside you?
Look, Greg, here's the deal. I would have never gotten the nomination from Nassau County GOP if I had not concluded college.
A Republican congressman is now accused of scamming a disabled veteran who was trying to raise money for his dying dog's cancer treatment.
Saying on his campaign website...
That's evil.
...that his mother was Jewish.
Dying dog's cancer treatment.
That's evil. That's evil, bro. That's evil. Like,
saying on his
disgusting,
website that his mother
pathetic,
was Jewish,
low-life
and his
motherfucker.
grandparents escaped the Nazis during World War II. I never claimed to be Jewish, Santos said. I said I was Jew-ish.
In a tweet last year, Santos said 9/11 claimed my mother's life.
Immigration records obtained by NBC News show that Santos's mother was not even in the U.S. when 9/11 happened.
What a piece of shit.
On those subjects.
What a piece of shit. Look at this evil piece of shit.
It is a lot. And the House Ethics Committee report added details and evidence. It gave other members of Congress the argument that at least some fair and full
Because that's what he did. He raised money on those lives. He raised money on those lives to get into Congress.
The first attempt failed.
Pissing off 100% of his constituents.
Committee finished its work.
In his
Even
district.
if you put George Santos and everything you just heard to refresh your memory, put that to the side for a moment. Let's be clear. There can be hard governing questions about how Congress chooses to override the voters' will to completely boot members. A fair factual process matters, and history has not always redeemed some of Congress's approach here, like how the House actually targeted the first ever black committee chair, Adam Clayton Powell, in a related legislative plot to exclude, that was the word they used.
The racism showed it because he had probably a percentage. He's a super light skinned dude, but he probably had a small percentage of African American in him. You see, the whole systemic racism is Congress with the white majority adjacent using a systemic racism. You're talking about the federal level of Congress enacting laws. Was kicking out a member just because he had black in his blood. He had some African American blood in his blood.
If you want to look that up or remember it, I'll tell you tonight. The Supreme Court ultimately reversed that move 7-1. And the lesson is not, I don't think, that Congress can never have a standard for booting members, but that there must be facts, due process, and a pretty high bar. You turn that back to Santos, the now former congressman, is actually the first member expelled in 2 decades, and the first whose conduct was deemed by his colleagues so extreme that he was expelled without either a criminal conviction or literally taking up arms against the U.S. Here's how the New York Times reports that tonight. This move today consigned Santos to a genuine place in history, the first person to be expelled from the House without first being convicted of a federal crime or supporting the Confederacy. 3 House members who have been expelled before Santos were, for example, slave-owning Confederacy supporters at a time where that was no longer deemed acceptable in the United States Congress.
Members of Congress enslaving humans, but were pro-Confederacy, were eventually kicked out of Congress and then go to the South.
Now, for his part, I should take care to also mention that Mr. Santos is still legally presumed innocent on the criminal cases. He faces 23 felony counts related to fraud and misconduct.
He's facing 23 federal counts. 23.
Claims his innocence, and there will be a trial. It's scheduled for next year. So,
yeah, presumed innocent to found guilty.
Breathe in, breathe out. That is the news. A little bit of the history. And that
it's not one crime. It's Santos has the appearance that he's committed 23 crimes. Let's see how he gets.
Congress did draw a line, and it did so with many people in both parties standing up to these lies in government. So that's a major and unusual storyline. But I want to tell you tonight, and I want to take a little more time to walk through this because it matters, there's actually more here than just that. If tonight marks a stand against government lies and the damage they can do, most of the House Republicans taking this rare, strong measure against these lies also are failing to bring that standard to the big lie, to the way Donald Trump abused power to deceive millions about his election loss, a lie that fed an insurrection.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear about this. This is not some freewheeling, broad effort to tie these things together. We are talking about lies in government and whether there's accountability and what Republicans say they did today and what they're actually doing. And as a matter of news standards, we do not need to say Trump's lie allegedly fed the insurrection. We could report for you it is a...
If these... Where's the number? If we... I think it was...
Tonight, I want to take a little more...
I think it was like 100, right? Yeah. If we can get these 100 Republicans who did the right thing, of course the Democrats are in unison. Only one Democrat said nay, one president not voted 8. So like, real fucking sus. These 10 there's 10 Democrats in the House. Real fucking sus in terms of the fuck you voting nay when everyone's like get this motherfucker out. The fuck you voting president when everyone's like get this motherfucker out. The fuck are y'all not voting at all when we were like, get this motherfucker out. And at least 100 Republicans did the right thing. 100 Republicans did the right thing. These motherfuckers are dumb as shit. They did the right thing to get this piece of shit George Santos out of Congress. So if there are 100 Republicans that are honorable, they would do the right thing. And it's probably about 28 members inside here, the Congress, that are part of the insurrection, try to violate through the U.S. government, showing aid and sympathy to insurrectionists, showing aid and sympathy. Were they aiding and abetting insurrectionists? Probably about 28 of them. There's a text message linked to Meadows that showed 28 House members that were all kind of going along. They were all in favor of the January 6th insurrection that Donald Trump was trying to violently overthrow the U.S. government with his followers. And so we have 100 honorable Republicans that are moving with honor, that are more like McCain Republicans. Then we can clean house and get rid of 28 insurrectionists that are kind of hiding ilk, traitors among our midst, anti-Americans among our midst. So.
Who came to view Santos as just 2.
Oh, and if you're probably wondering, oh, why is it 100? It's not 100 maggots. Oh, my bad, MAGA or whatever. Those motherfuckers. It's like a team sport to them instead of representing the people. It's a team sport for the GOP. They're not representing the people, the constituents. It's the they're voting to curry favor from each other or somebody or whatever.
Costly.
So.
I have been convicted of...
Bro, what? I forgot.
Ohio State residents.
Fucking Ohio State. Bro.
He faces 23 felony counts related to fraud and misconduct.
Oh, yeah, I got the part.
If tonight marks a stand against government lies and the
damage
about his election loss, a lie that fed an insurrection.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear about this. This is not some freewheeling, broad effort to tie these things together. We are talking about lies in government and whether there's accountability and what Republicans say they did today and what they're actually doing. And as a matter of news standards, we do not need to say Trump's lie allegedly fed the insurrection. We could report for you it is a fact that it did so. It is a fact that Trump lost the election. It is a fact that his lies and his demand that his fans come to Washington to act on those lies fed the crowd, populated the crowd, which then stormed the Capitol and committed what is now legally a
Donald Trump on the podium said to, at the ellipse, fuck they call it, motherfucker's name. Donald Trump said at the ellipse, his podium, you want to call it the ellipse, was to fight like hell. That's what he said, and his followers did. Well, they tried. So the U.S. Army came in and pushed them all out.
That's a reality and a legal fact. Now, whether Donald Trump himself, as a defendant, is ultimately convicted is a separate and open question. But to be clear, just as Santos has not yet been convicted, the lie part of that equation is not an open question. And if anyone knows how it went down, it is those members of Congress, including the Republicans who were giving speeches, they said, against lies today. They were standing on the very floor that those Trump fans, and now convicted seditionists, some of them, stormed and ransacked because of the power of lies. And I say this quite literally, and I want to spell it out quite precisely. That day was not billed as some sore loser party. It was not sold that way. And that's not what those now convicted seditionists.
There were individuals wearing shirts saying Civil War. Not like for the year it was. So like when January 6, 2021 happened, there were individuals that like printed out shirts wearing them. You know, they were like pro-Russian shirts, pro-MAGA, a whole bunch of Nazis, a whole bunch of white nationalists, a bunch of white nationalists, fascist, terrorist organizations like the Bungalow Boys, the Proud Boys, but just the thing that really stuck out to me was like MAGA insurrectionists, American traitors, insurrectionists wearing shirts saying Civil War printed out for that day. It was like they had already been briefed and told beforehand, and weapon caches, weapon supplies being brought to hotels, that this was already pre-planned, premeditated. So
Mostly said or thought, and we know that even beyond propaganda from their private texts and messages with each other.
Yeah.
It was a response to Donald Trump's
leader of the Proud Boys, fucking Proud Boys. Leader of the Proud Boys and all his lieutenants were all charged now, 15 years, 20 years for being essentially insurrectionists, trying to violate the U.S. government. The plotting and plan beforehand, January 6th. So,
quote, stopping the steal. Lies from a far more powerful member of government than George Santos about much more important matters than Mr. Santos' job.
Like, right there. Like, how is it on January 6th, did he know? Like, this wasn't haphazard when dudes brought, like, bear spray and they had weapon caches, and he's bringing, like, a helmet. So all of his Trump's followers, Trump's loyalists, were there, not on January 6th, but they were there ready to go beforehand. You know, it wasn't random. You know, dudes. There was a famous picture of a dude dressed in all black gear with like zip ties. Like he was trying to capture members of Congress. Like, why do you need 15 to 20 zip ties? Like you weren't there for the rally. They already had pre-planned, premeditated an insurrection.
Mr. Santos' job history.
And now the FBI, NSA, and CIA, and all the FBI units in different states, CIA and NSA are looking at the coordination between other states trying to amplify and help white nationalists, domestic terrorists in the United States, and and we've already apprehended over like 1,000. We're tracking thousands and thousands more individuals that were. We could track the cell phone movement and the data of individuals traveling to and from Washington D.C. area, and so the FBI in different states have to go around and basically just. I mean, we got them, If your cell phone showed your geolocation inside the Capitol with a massive group of people as they were storming attack the Capitol, well, we got you. We got you. And then we're just going to tie it together with your geolocation, your cell phone, and plus the camera work, trying to put your face to, And on top of that, for like years, the public across, Twitter were helping law enforcement find and identify insurrectionists. So, yeah.
Talks or really the rest of the stuff that we no longer have to cover that much in the news. There was danger posed to Congress.
I think back to there was a kid in Florida, 10-year-old boy, who had to report his mother and father because he overheard his mother and father who came back from Washington D.C. that they attacked the Capitol. And the 10-year-old kid was of the highest honor, with the utmost courage, of the utmost love for his nation, understood what he had to do. He had to call local police and inform them, and probably show them evidence, of his parents that were there. And so that is beyond patriotic. It is a love for our nation. It is a love for the people he sees around him. As a 10-year-old kid understanding what love is, to love all humans, and that he saw both his parents commit such a heinous act to attack the country that he loves. That 10-year-old kid was like, I had to call the police to turn my parents because they decided to be insurrectionists. But I think what the child saw was my parents and their hate. This 10-year-old boy in Florida, his parents, mother and father, with so much hate that they hate America when they should be loving America. I bet that child sees all his friends in different cultures as like, he understands to love all America. Maybe to fight for democracy if he understands democracy. That is commendable beyond measure.
Congress. There was an attack on American democracy itself. So keep that in mind, and the Republicans' ongoing support for that lie, and the way they voted against the certification at the time and sided with Trump after and continue to do so today as he is their main candidate to go back into the White House. Keep that all in mind as you make sense of this story tonight, because as I said, it is rare and it is a big deal, but also keep it in mind as you listen to what is about half the Republican caucus and some of the others who criticized Santos and maybe didn't vote against him as they claim outrage over government lies.
Oh my goodness, bro. What is this video game, bro? What in the heck?
He defrauded the voters of his district. His life was made up. It was a lie.
I think the right decision was reached today. That this is by far the worst corruption that we've seen, where an individual member has not chosen to resign.
George Santos should have resigned, and actually any other person in his situation likely would have.
Any other person should resign. Well, forget resign. How about unapologetically run for the highest office in the land while vowing pardons and sweetheart deals for people now convicted of sedition against the United States government? It doesn't take a lot of mental work here to sub out Santos, a relative.
True. I gotta throw her the food.
Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Video number 2, December 1st edition here. We're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Wanted to share some updates here before things get too late. I'll do my normal briefing still tomorrow morning as well, but you can see we've got a windy system rolling in here tonight. We're going to look at some of the high resolution models on what kind of wind speeds we can expect. Big mountain snows, big gusty winds across the higher terrain. Here goes Sunday's system there, picking up some of the subtropical moisture from this Kona storm down here by the Hawaiian Islands. And then we've got our finale back here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This atmospheric river stretches all the way back across the western Pacific. It's also going to pick up some of this tropical and subtropical moisture here and slam it into the Pacific Northwest. Now, looking back across the western Pacific, you can see that storm. Here's Japan here. Look at that tap it's got all the way back towards Southeast Asia. So that is the big one here as we go into the early portion of next week. Current hazard, lots going on here. I mean, we've got big waves, we got wind advisories, we got high wind watches, we got winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories. You know, it's crazy out there right now. We'll try to dive into some of those details here as we go through the video. Mountain pass travel updates tomorrow. Not the best day to travel if you can avoid it. Big time snow across the higher terrain, including the mountain passes, Snoqualmie and Stevens, and very strong winds across some of the higher terrain as well. So heads up for that, especially through tomorrow. But by Sunday, things are going to change, and we're going to warm up, like I've been mentioning in the last few days, at the lower levels. But then we got to worry about things like landslides and whatnot as well. So more on that here as we go through the next couple of days. But we do have this flood potential pointed out by the National Weather Service. Spokane, for example, the Wilson River near Tillamook, 30% chance of major flood stage there. And we'll go over this over the next few days as well. We've got some serious flooding potential. 1 through 3 day overall winter storm impacts. And the worst of it's going to be tomorrow. And then the travel's not going to be too bad. But you got to watch out for that. When heavy rain is falling, we can get landslide activities. And there's kind of limited roads, as you guys know, back and forth across the Cascades of British Columbia, Washington, and Oregon. And if you block one of those roadways, you can cause big problems. Now, take a look at the total snow. As we go on in through tomorrow morning, you can clearly see it continuing to pile up across the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, higher terrain eastern Washington, Oregon as well. You might get some additional snowfall here across some of the Spokane metro as well. And then we shut it off as we go on in through the day Sunday. We're going to bring that heavy rain, the warmer temperatures across much of the mountain areas. This is looking at integrated vapor transport here. So we've got the initial system as we're dealing with right now, and that's going to bring the winds to tonight and tomorrow morning. And then we've got Sunday's system here bringing a moderate atmospheric river. This one's kind of trending towards targeting Oregon or maybe the southern Washington Cascades a bit more. But then we've got the big one, the finale here, as we go on in through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with that strong atmospheric river into the Pacific Northwest. Taking a look at the cross-section vertical, a little education here. That atmospheric rivers are usually about 10, 12,000 feet high. So you can imagine when this slams into big mountain ranges here, you can see why we get huge rain shadowing on the leeward side of those mountains. Yeah, it really brings it out on the windward side there and brings huge precipitation amounts with it. Look at Gold Beach Municipal Airport on the Oregon coast. There's some ridiculous precipitation totals showing up. In 24 hours, it shows 3.37 inches, and then the next round almost 6 inches in a 24-hour period on this GFS that is hot off the presses here. So we've got to be watching out for some of these coastal areas, the Olympic Mountains. We could have some serious flooding concerns incoming. The European, however, shows a little bit less. You can see, 2.88. Still impressive precipitation amounts, but lesser. However, for Tillamook, it shows 2 nice shots of 3+ inches in 24-hour periods that could cause some significant flooding. Seattle-Tacoma, this has kind of been bouncing around a little bit here. This morning's European run had 1.72 inches in a 24-hour period, so we still could get some urban and small stream flooding here. A little bit of a downtrend there. However, if we look at the 18Z, you can see it bounced that back up there for Seattle, 2.2 inches in a 24-hour period. The mean somewhere just over 1.5 inches in a 24-hour period. Still a very rainy day for some of the Seattle metro. And this is Paradise, Mount Rainier. Check it out. When that snow level goes high, I mean, you're talking about over 4.5 inches of liquid equivalent there. It's all going to be rain falling into that snowpack there with the high snow levels. So you can see why those flooding concerns are, of note as of right now.